also had the recently founded Interfaith Council, and I have been interacting with every faith. And one of the important items on the agenda, some of you may have attended some of the programs, is to bring the awareness, not only getting involved, as Vishnu and Ali said, but the awareness. Our community are being tarnished in many ways. And there are a few that I'll just highlight quickly. I don't want to go too much into the time.
Just one, if you can.
Okay, one, at faith base, we have, in terms of the Hindu, we have mantra launch. All of us know what the meaning of mantra, sacred prayer in Hindu. We go up in Queens Village, you have Majlis Hookah Bar, and it depicts a woman in a hijab. These are things that law, because of freedom, it goes beyond. But if we together can bring the awareness, and those businesses suffer the consequences economically, then they will learn to respect everyone.
Andaji?
Namaste, Sitaram, Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. I'm Shivanand Gosai. I'm with the Trinidad and Tobago Interfaith Council. Actually, the Trinidad and Tobago Interfaith Council is about bringing members of different faiths and actually to have dialogue, conversation, to educate each other, and to share similarities.
Rudra?
Hi, my name is Richmond Hill. Current after graduate.
He's attending.
I'm attending with my dad, so I'm
Oh.
not
Bigger.
in organization as yet, but hopefully just be more in the team talking about that's about it.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm Patanjali Rambert. I'm an activist, so faith-based, I'm in the service for Forum for Hindu Awakening. We look at denigration, defamation, and also malpractice in the Hindu community. That's just partial of what I do. In Richmond Hill area, within the very little facility, very little return from private tax citizens pay here, and not getting back their return. Very little, nothing actually. So you need economic development, social development, so many things. So I work in many political.
Perfect. Chet?
My name is Chad. I am a member of Sando. I am not part of the faith-based organization. I'm also a social worker. I work with people who identify as MSM and their HIV.
Hi, I'm Annette. By profession, I'm an occupational therapist. I practice in mental health as well as physical disabilities. I'm just introducing what I do and why I'm here. Not necessarily relating to faith right now, but the reason why I come to these meetings with Sadhana and the Jahaji girls, the Jahaji circle, Jahaji circle, because I'd like to know what's going on in Richmond Hill in the community, because in my practice in the 90s, I had seen young Guyanese girls really destroy themselves because they had nowhere to go. And the services that were being offered, it was mainstream for American population. And what happened after a while, they fell out, and I tried calling them back, but they would not attend. And eventually, the Guyanese, young Guyanese people just fell out. And I'm happy now that we have these services where they can really, let me correct it, West Indian, of Indo-Guyanese, also Pakistan and India, because in that time, all Indians were referred as, foreigners.
Asian.
Asians, yes.
Mhm.
And it was very horrifying. One girl, she couldn't deal with the strict rules at home, and she laid on the subway and she got her ankle on her amputation. So I was seeing her for prosthetic reasons.
I see.
Fit her for her prosthetic.
I see.
And another one,
We'll just move on, and then we'll come back. We'll come back. We'll come back.
Okay. So
come
that
back.
is why I'm here. I just want to make sure that when I meet these people, I can share this information with them and the services that they need.
Thank you, Annette. Thank you. Uncle Bob?
All right. Hello, everyone. Greetings. Ro, thank you very much for inviting me.
You're welcome.
I
Thank you for
invite
attending.
Um, I'm a humble servant of Sai Baba. My name is Bob Singh. And my source and strength that I do things in our community here locally comes from the teachings of Baba. So I've been inspired in the work that he does selflessly for the poor, without any affiliation or attachments to anything or anyone. Do it very quietly, speak little, and do little. That's what I get involved in.
Sister?
Sure. As Uncle Bob mentioned, he invited me to be here today, and he is one of my inspirations. We do belong to the Satyas organization. We're not representing this organization here in any official capacity. However, we are inspired by his teachings and the work that he does. And the Satyas organization is actually a multi-faith organization. If you want to see interfaith work done seamlessly, lovingly, beautifully, visit this organization because there are people from all different faiths. And if you take it one step further, the work is not faith-based, it's value-based. So we work under 5 values. So truth, love, nonviolence, right action, and peace. So with that, we take everything that we do into the community of service.
Thank you. Shabana?
Greetings, everyone. I'm Shabana. I am a Muslim. My father's name is Sharif, so you might know him. I along with 12 other organizations put this event together, and luckily Sadhana was able to jump on board. I'm part of also Jahaji Sisters, which is an Indo-Caribbean women's empowerment group. We're secular, but last year we had our first faith-based organizing initiative. We had the Muslim Sisters Leadership Institute, which was a week-long institute talking about gender justice, reproductive justice, and issues related to Indo-Caribbean and South Asian women. And this was the first time that we've ever gone into faith. And it was really interesting how important it was just to have a space for Muslim women, people who identify as Muslim, to just be. And it wasn't in a madrasa, it wasn't in a masjid, it wasn't in a basement, but it was in a legitimate space. And they were able to learn from their peers, and they were able to learn from a sister. I don't consider myself religious. Most of the girls didn't really consider themselves religious, but identifying as Muslim was very important. And I definitely, even though being religious is not part of my identity per se, being Muslim is very much part of my identity. And I love to scare people as much as possible by telling them I'm a Muslim.
So,
Every time.
considering I just love to jump right in, we do have some other questions, but they'll be addressed as we go along. I know Brother Hack wanted to mention the 2 other things he was doing. And one of the things you said was to injure the business who takes the religious aspect too far, and to injure them economically. We also have Vishnu Mahadev here from the Richmond Hill Economic Development Corporation. So I just wanted your thoughts on, is injuring a business who takes things too far economically the right way to go, in your opinion? Is that one of the challenges you see in the work you do?
But from what I understand,
And if anyone has a rebuttal or a comment.
I understand these businesses, there are people that meet with them, and they tell them straight up that, you know what, that's your idea, you take your idea. But I think faith is important for everyone. If we do not recognize the existence of God, even if we're an atheist, but respect what people pray to and what they look forward to, that's their life, that's our life, that's what we respect. But when you're going to have a business and you're going to use a name to injure faith, that's a problem. I think that is more important than the economic aspect of them surviving.
I see.
As we recognize, we're in a free country. Freedom is too much in this country. And people are taking advantage of it.
To add to that, in fact, I'd like to echo what Brother Hack just said, but what was ironical about the whole thing was that not one religious organization jumped in, even though they were all informed about this violation and this disrespect to the community. Because I took it upon myself to inform the religious entities about these violations. But myself and Brother Hack were the two champions for it, and I find that was very disgusting, really, because it is something that is violating the religious norm, and we who are not the practicing people at the forefront of the religious forum, pushing it and bringing it to their attention, but it just dropped in the middle. I spoke to the community boards, and the community boards, as you rightly said, they don't have a jurisdiction to decide your name. If the business has problems, yes, they will do something about it.
I think this highlights the extreme danger when you do faith-based organizing. You know, especially if you're a secular organization, like SAVE is a secular organization, this has always been the minefield. You know, when, you know, we're allies, we're working on something together, and but however, you know, something has been done, or you know, a member has crossed a certain line, which is not, you know, which is not a bright line. You know, it's like it's
blurry,
gray area.
Yeah.
And so this is the danger of it. I think I've seen many times allies become opposites. You know, going against each other, confrontational, because of, you know, where value-based might be more concrete in some way, versus faith, which is, there's no clear goals as far as what, you know, it's your faith. We might both be Hindus. Define, you know, you might eat a burger once in a while, and that might, you know, destroy the entire partnership at a personal level. So, yeah, dangerous world.
And it's like, what do we really own? Do we own our words? Do we own a hijab? I mean, nuns wear scarves, you know, Hindus wear scarves. So I feel like what we claim as ownership is also kind of tricky, because First Amendment right and like us owning it, and because it's like considered religious, I don't, you know, it's tricky. You know, people are not looking at it like, oh, I'm like they're looking at it from a financial perspective, and they're not looking at all these other facets, and they don't have tolerance.
Well, are the Hindus here offended by the mantra lounge? Is every Hindu equally offended?
It doesn't have only mantra,
Well,
it has Om also.
I am.
And
I'm
they
a
have the
Hindu,
symbol
I
of the
feel
Om. Yes.
offended by it.
Are you offended by it?
But yoga, I mean, do you see yoga outfits, and look, they have the Om all over it,
Yeah.
and they're not wearing much on those yoga outfits. So are we attacking the white man, or are we attacking brown on brown?
Well, I mean, to get back to the Om lounge, to this lounge. So, for instance, you know,
Mantra lounge?
Mantra Lounge. If you know, I disagree with it, but I won't patronize the business. And that's my form of disagreement. You know, so Patanjali disagrees with it, but how would you, in your opinion, as an activist?
Richmond told me about this for a year now. I didn't take any action because, you know, I can't be fighting every battle for him. No, I'm waiting for someone who lives there, Richmond Hill, all these temples they have there. They know about it. Let them take some action if they're Hindus. You know, they say they're Hindus. They have runners. And I like to take the issue, find some support, I'll do it. But I can't be taking up all the action for the Hindu community. That be labeled, this guy's a fanatic or something.
Well, you know,
I
one,
want to do more work,
right?
not all the work for them. You have to get up and do some work. It's defamation. I say defamation. If you're not from the religion, you won't know. If you're practicing the religion, it's an insult. Mantra is a holy word. It's a very sacred word, and you can't go where the word tamasik is that places of tamasic nature. It's totally against what we practice. We practice sattvic quality, goodness, kindness, peace, love. That's what our religion is about. Now you're doing the opposite, tamasic activity, alcohol and being served. And what else? I never went there. I don't know, right? I know alcohol is serving. It's against there's nothing to say you can't use alcohol in our religion, but we call it tamasic, bad activities. None of our books say this is bad. The book, if you don't know. We are human, and I feel.
And it's going to be mostly Hindus that are going to be the customers, right? I would imagine
know.
90% of the customers
Yeah,
are going
most
to
of
be
the customers will be Hindus, but they don't. They're, as I said, they are not at that level
Yeah, well, then there you, but
to
that's really
see that information.
See, on the one hand,
And well, you're next.
you have the owners and partners who are coming up with this idea. It's not an original idea. They're copycats of something they have seen or they visited somewhere in Bali or Indonesia, in the tourist place.
Manhattan.
Manhattan, and they have decided this sounds fantastic. From a legal point of view, I don't know if Brother Ali can say what it means. For a business entity, it's okay to put whatever you want.
It is.
As long as it's not breaking any laws or it's not causing any pain to anybody otherwise. But in my opinion, I feel sorry that the owners don't have that knowledge or that wisdom to see that they're losing something that is not acceptable in our society.
Actually, I agree with what he's saying. So, and also for Gopal. So, you know, I mean, most of the people who really go in there participating will be Hindus, and they're not offended with it. They feel, I think they feel identifying with it. So they, you know, that's not customized business.
It's cool.
But I would like to assist in that though, because it does offend me.
So you have one person that you will be on board.
Certainly.
I don't know if you wanted to chime in or say anything. Maybe we can move on to another topic.
Probably she.
I'm just curious, who
Yeah.
owns it? Is it Americans, Hindus, or Muslims?
Hindus from Trinidad.
Hindus from Trinidad.
I'll give you the name and address of their work.
That's the Trinidad culture. So,
But not necessarily. I know some. I have a lot of friends from Trinidad. They're very good people. I go to their house and come to mine. It's one part of it, one aspect of it.
The commercialization of Hinduism is worldwide, though.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's not like this one Hindu is the only one capitalizing off of it. Most of the people who I think are capitalizing off of Hinduism aren't Hindus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about
When it comes
bars.
to
Bars,
Right.
you guys on bars everywhere. You check phone.
Every time you do yoga, you're doing mantras, you're meditating, you know, like,
and I think the American people are more into the yoga aspect, are more into the mantras.
Right.
Then the spiritual aspect of Hinduism.
Yoga don't belong to, it belongs to the world, but it originated from India. We not say we have a patent on it. But we say, acknowledge it come from India, that's all. Do whatever, you know, just acknowledge. Don't say it came from the moon. It came from India. That's all we Hindus want. That's all. We're not saying we own it.
So this last statement before
I'm
I bring up another topic.
Actual thing that happened. There was a Christian church at 108 and Northern Boulevard. Church there. Attached to the church was a liquor store that would sell liquor. And the pastor is preaching every morning that liquor is the devil and it will break up your home. The people decided that that liquor store has to go. They placard in front of that liquor store for 2 weekends. The guy closed. The power of the people coming together and said, this liquor store does not belong next to the church.
Technically, if that liquor store was there before the church,
Probably
you
was.
got to find out.
Probably.
Why did you buy that church next to that liquor store?
I think the church
You
was
can't
there
go
wrong.
close someone's business because you want to open a store next door, a church next door.
there's supposed to be distance between a church and a liquor establishment. Like, some feet.
This was in Queens.
I don't believe
Elmhurst.
you have to know all
Don't
the
be
facts.
surprised. We have a public school in Richmond Hill, and at the back of the public school is a liquor store, brand new liquor store on 101 Avenue, 130th Street.
Is there any jurisdiction they
I
have to
said
be in a
our
certain
community is not connected with what is happening, and major violations are taking place.
So who's giving
The licenses.
Who's giving the
There needs to
licenses?
be rules to issue these licenses. I
But we have
question
people in the community who are not reflective of our community.
Yeah.
So that's where we have the disconnection.
So I'll throw this out to Ali. You're an attorney at law, right? I know you are too, but he's better.
How do you know? You don't
No,
know.
he's just being funny.
So you probably dealt with some community issues, and being part of this is a Muslim democratic organization that you're a part of. What are some of the challenges that have come out maybe against Islam and you take a stance, how does it work from start to finish, where you want to peacefully protest or picket or doing something that's anti-commercial towards against Islam, you're fighting on behalf of Islam? Like, how do you really go about that?
Ali and I would talk about this.
Post 9/11, what are you doing?
So I think that, the Muslim Democratic Club hasn't really taken on issues such as the ones that were described here, with respect to the commercialization of Islam or people propagating some sort of offensive image of it in a commercial sense. The club has really formed around sort of deeper anti-Islam policies within the city government and within the NYPD. And there was a huge surveillance program that was uncovered and broken. News broke by the Associated Press, which won a Pulitzer Prize for their investigation of this. And essentially, and there's a lawsuit that was just filed last week by some allies of the club, not the club, on the constitutionality of the surveillance and the search. And so, we are trying to fight bigger issues like that. I mean, there's definitely these small, I would say, compared to what's going on in the NYPD, something like an awning, when you balance it out, where would I rather spend my resources? So as an organizer, I kind of want to focus on things like that. But these other ones obviously do move people. It's not just in this community. There was a bar on 140 something and Union called Cheap Shots, and there was a silhouette of like a woman passed out with a drink in her hand, and the community over there went crazy over it, and the bar changed their silhouette. They changed their whole logo. So if people want to organize around these issues, they can be successful, not just in this community.
So community organizing.
Yeah, you can basically just, the rule of thumb is the squeakiest wheel gets the grease, right? So if you do that, you can get it. And things like the State Liquor Authority and the Community Board, there are points of pressure. You do have to be 500 feet from a school or something, or a church. So, whether these things are being enforced or not is another issue. I think for somebody like me and for the club, it's how do we use collective power and resources for issues of greater concern. And, the New York City Police Department has sent in paid taxpayer-funded spies into mosques, into Muslim student associations, and looking for terrorist threats, right? And what's happened, this is well documented, they don't find anything. So then they up the ante and they have these people instigate. And so suddenly now you have a taxpayer-funded guy who's coming in, the biggest jihadi on the street, suddenly is the taxpayer-funded NYPD guy who's looking for bait, he's putting bait out there. He went on a Muslim Student Association whitewater rafting trip. John J. MSA, CUNY John J. went on an MSA water rafting, like a field trip together. And here's a taxpayer-funded instigator going on these trips, disrupting these trips. There are people in mosques who are just there for a sanctuary. They're being disrupted by a taxpayer-funded instigator that looks like them. There may be an NYPD spy here, we don't know. But that's kind of the situation. It's probably Vishnu.
He's got Samson's wire.
Vishnu's glasses are secretly recording and sending it back to Ray Kelly. So, I think that, you start, and then, the federal government, the FBI has said some of these investigations are too much for them. So you have this assault on a community like this, you have sanctuaries that are being disrupted, you have the Constitution thrown in the toilet. And why? There's really no legitimate lead. It's all just because they're Muslim, they're starting with that. And so when you take something like that, you take something like the history of surveillance in this country, where you have Hoover spying on Martin Luther King, completely, unconstitutionally, finding out that he has a mistress, creating a file, figuring out how to use that against him to disrupt the civil rights movement. It's never just surveillance. All we have proof of is surveillance right now. And it's an attacking a group. Why? So these are some of the things that our club has thought about. We want to help make sure that the next mayor of New York takes a stance on this that is constitutionally sound and equitable. And so what we've done as a club is we've organized. We've had several meetings all across the city. We have done a lot with the media in terms of putting out data on Muslim voters. And I would say since March to now, we've succeeded in publicly getting every male candidate more towards the center on this issue. Some of them were way more, would defer to the NYPD in instances way more. Now they've all come back. Some have gone even farther. John Liu has said it's unconstitutional. He would end it if he was mayor. People who had not said anything about it before are saying something. It's going to be a tight race. There are 73,000 Muslim Democrats that we've identified. We can do everything we can to move them. And that's a campaign we're taking. And that's one aspect of it. It's just purely election. There are deeper forms of organizing that may be more fruitful in the long term. But this is a campaign we're doing start to finish. We started this club. We've made endorsements. And people are talking about this community in a way they haven't before. So
I see. Cool. Any comments? I was going to move on to something very controversial. Park 51. There's an opinion about what should be erected at this site and I've come to understand this is not a secular issue. When people hear about Park 51, this becomes a religious debate. Does anyone agree with me, disagree with me? You nodded your head.
I don't know what Park 51 is.
So
The quote-unquote mosque at World Trade, Ground Zero.
Oh.
Quote-unquote.
A few blocks away.
Right.
and now this becomes like, this isn't an NYPD firefighters association joining in to advocate for the removal of this ground. This is, we're Christians, and we're Muslims, and we're Hindus, and we all take a stance, and people are picketing outside of where this should be, and now this becomes religious debate, in a country where technically church and state are separate, and then religion is now being gradually segued into policy, into legislation, and is that, my question, an open question, is this where our country should be heading? That's my biggest fear, and that's why I went into study public policy. But just an opinion. Oh.
We're studying together.
Oh, right, yeah, we're studying together. But do we think this is where the country should be headed? Whenever something comes up, the first thing we think about is our faith, or not?
See, that's where it's interesting because, I've been involved in this organization since I was 19 years old, more than half of my life. And the focus is not on faith, it's on values. So values is universal. It goes beyond religion, it goes beyond your personal God, it goes beyond, what you think or you see somebody to be, right? If you respect one another as human beings and recognize that we're each unique and that we each have, there's something special about each one of us, regardless of what our belief system is, then there's that natural understanding. And the idea is that to recognize that we're all one. There's no multiplicity. There's no, you're a Hindu and I'm a Muslim and you're a Christian. So, we're all we're different. The idea is that we're one. We're all part of one family. And that's where we need to go. That's where, as a country, as a community, as a, city, as a country, as a nation, and as a world, to go beyond that.
That's where we need to go, but are we going there?
That's the
Well,
ideal.
what are we doing?
That's ideal.
That's the
But we are
ideal.
not living in an ideal world. I live in the
But-
South, and I could tell you what real America is. We have to leave New York City to see America. New York City is a minority community. I was telling one of the guys over there, we are not minorities here in New York City. We are majority. People of color are majority. Always get that in your head. But you step out in New York
But see,
City.
it's how we think of
No,
ourselves.
live
It's how we think of ourselves.
America-
Like that's
live-
what we project, and that's how
No,
people
but you
treat
have
us.
to look at the reality. America's a Christian nation. That's what they have given. They've given lectures on this. Go out and do some Google on it. Since 9/11, there's a shift, and we have there's a big shift. Anything you do now, Patriot Act. Patriot Act. You want any information? You're a news reporter, you can't get it. Now it's spying on a news reporter. All these big companies, they want their information. So there's a big shift, and people of faith who are minority faith, they have to go along. Or else,
But see, the
when you
question.
talk about idealism,
But,
and idealism
but
is
where,
not in the whole country.
when you're talking about faith, and you're talking about from a Muslim or from a Hindu or from a Christian, what are we doing? Do we have leaders? Do we have leaders that are representing us? Do we have people who you can put up there and be proud of them and say, here's this person who's representing us? Where are those people? You look around, you don't see those leaders.
Actually, meeting like this is where we become aware, you know. In past, we never have so much meetings like this, and this is why we are here together. You know, the issue is not about religion, really. It's what is happening in society and how is it affecting our community and the future generations. So really, it's not about whether, you know, humanity or, you know, or religion.
Right.
But are we attacking the system? Are we devising an approach that is mutually respected and accepted?
That's the question. Are we tolerating each other, or are we mutually respecting each other? Sorry.
I believe that we are in a society that is law-abiding. And I believe that whatever we do in all our own little pockets or groups is important for each group. Collectively, each one will be represented by those activities. It's the manner in which I believe it's presented.
I think that we can't look at this as a Muslim issue. We can't look at it as a Hindu issue. We can't look at it as a Sikh issue. We look at Oak Creek. That could have happened at 127 Masjid. That could have happened at 124 Mandir. You know what I'm saying? They see us as other. They do not care who we pray to, how we bow our head. We have to be united as a brown front because they don't know anything about our religion. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy for them to see us as other and we're all bad. It's easy to go into our masjids and tap us. Our mandirs, they don't know.
I don't disagree with that. Someone came to Trimurti, and a politician, and said, "Salaam alaikum."
So someone say, oh, you're a Hindu. Are you Shia or
or Sunni.
You know, this is,
Right.
Yeah.
so people are so ignorant. They're not, because they've been trained that way. Everything is Christian around here. So how could you have to educate, it's our job to educate. But you living in a city where you find a lot of people look like you. How can you leave the city? You're the only one.
I don't want to walk around and have an identification on my forehead, say I'm a Hindu or I'm a Muslim or I'm a Christian. I am Bob. I am Bob, and I do this for the betterment of everyone, whatever little it is, to help uplift without any affiliations to political organizations. Free, unattached, disconnected from any political affiliation. The moment you start supporting one political body, they label you that you belong to. You don't belong to it.
Is that the way the country works, though?
That's how
Is that should we not get involved? Should we not get involved politically?
you get involved, but
But what's politics?
Like, you know, the founding father of this nation said, they talked about religion. Go back in the who drafted this Constitution, George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, Ben Franklin.
This is a secular nation.
Read their writing. If you read their writing, you think these guys are highly spiritual person. They never talk about religion because they were escaping religious persecution in Europe. So they founded this nation where religion.
But they also understood the danger of religion and government being
But
too close.
there has been a
So
shift.
they understood the danger of it. And
You know,
that's why it was consciously secular. And it was like written into it. It wasn't by mistake. It was the First
The
Amendment.
experience.
So are we reversing that?
It has been reversed. We're shifting. Don't practice it.
I'm going to speak on a micro level among our communities here especially, and I don't feel that our community should be obligated to anyone or anything. When politicians were